Hey everyone, it's Deke. Welcome back to the Wraith YouTube channel. Today we're doing some more Tier 11 delves. We're going to be doing the Spiral Weave, and we're going to do the Strange Disturbances variant of this delve. Moving forward, unless I'm doing some alt runs or potentially some group runs on my alts or something, most likely I'm going to be doing all of the Tier 11 delves because I'm going for the achievement to do everything on Tier 11. Everything I go over in the Tier 11s will be applicable to Tier 8 through Tier 11. So this is the hardest version of the content that can be done, but all the mechanics I go over will apply to the lower content as well. As of the patch on Tuesday, September 17th, they've fixed the problem where we weren't able to upgrade our curios. Now, when you open chests at the end of the runs, you will get your curio upgrade. So if you're doing Tier 8 plus, those will basically be 4 of 4. You'll see they'll come out, they'll be epic, and you have to learn those out of your bag, and then they'll upgrade those curios for Bran. So that's actually making us much, much stronger now that we can get those higher ranks of the curios. You just get a lot higher percentages on the damage output or the potential healing that he's going to do for you. Just for reference, my character is a Prot warrior, and I'm playing the Colossus spec, and my item level currently is 609. So I'm just shy of that 610 full heroic setup. I don't have any set bonuses yet, but that doesn't really seem to prove to be much of a problem. So getting into the run here, the first thing we're going to do in the first stage is just kill this peculiar Nerubian. And things on Tier 11 just have tons and tons of health, so I am running Bran as DPS for this first half of the delve run here. You can see I'm using this curio that Bran puts a arrow on the ground, and wherever you move, he's going to fire. So I was testing out this curio to see how good it is. It actually does quite a bit of damage. I think it hits in around 1.2 million or something like that. So pretty big hit from that curio with the upgraded version of it. As you'll see, at some point I'm going to swap Bran up to heals because there are some pulls where I'm just taking way too much damage and I'm not able to mitigate it and get my stuns off on the right targets enough. So having him as heals just gives you that extra cushion that you can pick up potions and keep yourself alive through kind of the onslaught of a big group damage. And you can change Bran up at the start, but you can also change him up at the midway checkpoint. And most of these delves have some type of circular map to them, so it's pretty easy to get back to the start or get back to the checkpoint from wherever you are. So don't be afraid to change Bran up as you're playing through. He really is quite the asset. I mean, this mode is not really a solo mode. Bran plays a massive role in delves. I mean, he really does. Like, sometimes when I'm out in the open world, I'm like, man, I wish I had Bran here so I could just you know, lock down some of these big elite mobs that I'm fighting or whatever. But I mean, the open world, there's not really that much stuff that's nearly as challenging as this, but I do miss Bran when I'm out in the open world by myself. I wish I could bring him into PvP and just let him go to town on some of these kids that keep trying to gank me when I'm doing my quests. So the second stage of this, we just go into the treasure room and they want you to open this box here. When you open the box, you're going to get stunned by cocoons, so make sure you pick up any curiosities or boxes or stuff that you want besides this one before you click it. You can get back to this room later, but I just go ahead and do that so I don't have to circle back around. You click the box here and it is going to stun you and teleport you into another area. And then what we're doing from here on is we are rescuing these puppets. So basically you're just going to have to kill packs that are puppeted. And one thing about these packs is that you can't tell what mob types they are before you pull them, so you can't really tell which ones are going to be spellcasters and which ones are going to be melee and stuff like that until after you pull them, because they're all considered puppets before you pull them. The Spiral Weave does feature these web mechanics, so there are webs on the ground. Obviously, Bran's been telling us for, you know, every 30 seconds since the expansion launched, not step in them or you'll summon Nerubians. And that's no exception in this delve. Just due to the nature of T11s and how much health mobs have and stuff, I will be moving forward in time as I go just to kind of skip ahead and make sure this video doesn't get super long. I think it's taking me around 30 minutes to clear a T11. I would say when I'm running just like a T8 now, I run those in like somewhere between like 12 and 20 minutes. I'll try to talk through some of the mobs in here, but basically I think all these mobs are random. The puppets are all going to be random mobs that spawn out of any delve that's available. So you're going to see some of the fungi, you're going to see some Nerubians, you're going to see these lizard monsters, you're going to see all kinds of different mob types in here. I'm finding out pretty quickly as I start pulling these things just how much damage they're doing to me. So having Brand set as a DPS is probably going to be pretty tough in this one. Some of the other ones I've done, I was able to run him all the way to the end and beat the boss with him on DPS. But this particular instance has a lot of pulls where you're going to have to fight multiple things at the same time. You can't really pull them off of each other and separate them out. And it also has a lot of spellcasters. So, I mean, you'll see here, you've got 3 casters shooting Rotten Bolt at you, which makes it very difficult to deal with. And I actually take a death here, which infuriates me. I don't like to die. That's why I like to play tank. But anyway, so as soon as I die and I kind of see the amount of spellcasting that's going on, it's kind of time to change up the strategy. So setting up Bran as healer here and choosing some things that will, just kind of give me those extra defensive cooldowns is going to be really important. And I think I am still going to be running the Amorphous Relic here, which is just basically an overall damage increase. So kind of splitting the difference there. I've got one of his curios that's giving me kind of a, an oh shit heal, and then the other one just giving me some damage. And also, I don't think I do it right away here, but I am going to spec into spell block for this one just because there's so many spells being cast at me, and that really is going to help tremendously. All right, now that we got Brand set up as a healer, things are going to go a little bit better for us. Like I said, in these pulls here, you just have to be aware that they are going to all pull together. You can't really separate these out. And as you can see here, these are some of those casters that are shooting shadow bolts and stuff. So like I said earlier in the video, you never really know what you're going to get with the mob type. I mean, you can kind of tell from the models like what they're going to be, but they're not labeled like they are in a typical delve. So you're just kind of getting a variety of different types in here. But what I did find in this variant is there are a lot of spellcasters. So most groups have 2 spellcasters in them, maybe more, which makes it extremely hard. So I would definitely suggest running heals in this variant. This map is pretty simple and the stages are pretty simple on this variant, but I did find there to be a ton of these Zekvir empowered minions. And really, they're not that different to fight, to be honest. So I'm not sure what the actual analytics or statistics are on how much more damage and or healing they do, but they don't seem that different to me, in all honesty, as a tank. It's hard for me to really tell how much more damage they're doing. So it's the same threat level. I feel like if I pull a pack of, a group that have 2 spellcasters in it and I'm not blocking or interrupting, they're going to kill me. Same with these empower packs. It's not really that different. So, but I did find this variant to have quite a few of those in there. And you don't have to clear everything in here, but you're going to need to kill pretty much everything that's near one of these little grayed out statues. That's what you're using this little special action button icon. You see the little potion? That's what you're using that on to bring those guys back to life or free them from the puppet strings. So you're going to have to basically fight a pack over every single one of those. I don't think any of those are free. Like some of the delves, you can just kind of like skirt around stuff and get your objectives. This one, you pretty much had to fight everything. So an additional reason why this one's a little bit longer to do. And again, there's not very much you can do about the webbing. You just have to dodge it. There's no mechanics in this one specifically to get rid of the webbing, so you're just having to look out for it. There's one pesky chest in this delve, in the Spiral Weave, that I haven't gotten. It's up here on that beam. You can kind of see where I'm tilting my camera. There's one up on that beam. But the only way to get it is through a variant where you're given a grappling hook, like a little webbing grappling hook. And that one just hasn't been popping up for me. So I got to keep checking to try to get that variant. One thing I'm not sure if I've mentioned in any of my other videos on delves, but after a combat encounter, if you're kind of low, like I'm not sure what the percentage is, like 50 or 40%, Bran will actually put a campfire down and you can eat and heal yourself up, and it actually gives you a 5% main stat buff. So that's definitely worth doing. You can see here I'm speccing into spell block now because these pulls are still kind of annoying me. Even though I have Bran set as a healer, there's just so much spell damage coming out. pretty much once I get the spell block going in this one, it gets pretty easy. This pull here tends to be pretty hard because, like I said, this stuff is pulling together. You see here in the back, there's a webcaster on me, and this is just a really nasty set of abilities to deal with at once. It's really hard to navigate all these pillars and get back to this caster and stop her from just blasting on me. So this is actually probably one of the roughest encounters that I've had in a T11 yet, where I do get it under control eventually, but it's just not pretty. It's one of those things where I look at it and I'm like, damn, this is just, I could have just done so much better in this, but it's all positional. A lot of these delves I recommend, and I'm not doing it right at this moment, but almost just playing top down with your camera, because there's just so many effects on the ground between the webs and these little rock pillars that are popping up. You know, you kind of just want to top down your character so that you can really see the battlefield easier. So if that's something that you're not accustomed to doing, I would recommend giving that a shot and starting to try to play like that. It definitely helps in things like Mythic Plus and in raids for sure. You know, having your camera zoomed out very far is important, but I think also doing the kind of top-down method really can be important to just, being able to navigate all these things on the ground. This one was tricky though. Every time I tried to charge, it pathed me through something. So again, this was just a really messy, kind of ugly fight, but you know what? I'm going to leave it in this video so you can see how kind of out of control a fight can get very quickly based on what mobs are pulled together. And it's kind of why you want to be patient and methodical with your pulls themselves, I don't die in this encounter, but, I think if I wasn't a tank with a bunch of big cooldowns, I would. So,
watch your step.
But anyway, we'll let this fight here play out, and then I'm just going to go ahead and skip ahead to the next phase, the next stage, because all I'm really doing is just kind of making my way through the instance, just trying to pick up these puppets, and you have to do 8 of them, so there's kind of a lot. So this is a pretty simple variant, but you just have to do a lot of pulls in it, which is, it just depends on kind of what you're into. If you're into just, being able to skip through stuff, this variant is going to be kind of annoying because you do have to kill a lot of stuff in it. So we finished up with that stage, getting all the puppets freed, and now we're on to fight the puppet master here. And this is actually a pretty easy fight overall because the puppet master is not actually a boss here. He basically transforms into a bunch of different minion packs that you have to fight, but unlike a boss, even when you get to the Nerubian Lord, which is the last kind of phase of this encounter, they're all stunnable. So that's much different than when you're actually fighting an actual boss. You can't stun the bosses in delves, but you can stun every version of the puppet master here as you fight him. So the first version is just a web blast. You're basically just interrupting and spell reflecting as much as you can. Again, spell block will come in handy here just because of all the spells being cast. And you just try to put out as much damage as you can to get him pushed to the next phase. The next phase, you can see these little lines over the heads of these puppets. They're all going to spawn, and this is the most annoying phase of this. It's 4 of these, I think they're called chattering Nerubians or something, and they all just continually charge. And it's just annoying because it's really difficult to see which way they're going, and when you have 4 of them all going at the same time, and DBM's yelling at you every 2 seconds, as you can hear, just kind of an annoying thing to fight, but the charges don't do that much damage to me, so it's not that big of a deal. So not really a threatening fight, I would say, but just kind of an annoying fight. So once the charging guys are down, then you're going to get some more of these little spider-style Nerubians, and these are the ones that do the swipe in front of them that you can just sidestep, and then they also have this webbed Aegis, which is a big barrier that they put on themselves, and there are 2 of those, so you're kind of like, I interrupt one, I stun the other, then I have my AoE stun that I use to stop them again, so you're really just trying to stop the webbed Aegis so you don't have to fight them forever. And I was able to actually interrupt every single webbed Aegis on that pull. So that went down pretty fast, pretty easy. Then the last phase here, we're going to get the Nerubian Lord version of the Puppet Master. And he has all the abilities. Actually, he has a mix of a boss abilities and a normal style elite abilities. He has like the normal shockwave cone, but his stinging swarm is like the unavoidable style damage, where it just ticks damage on you. But it can be stunned, so you can actually stop him here. And it does not hit as hard as a boss version of that power either. So not only can you interrupt it, but you can also mitigate it much easier because it just doesn't do quite as much damage. So overall, this part of the final fight here is probably the easiest part. Dodging shockwave, interrupting when he does stinging winds or stinging swarm. It's just a pretty simple, basic thing. Yeah, stinging swarm here. If you've watched my previous T11 video, I do fight a boss with this style that has that mechanic, and that does a lot of damage. Basically, it will kill you if you're unable to mitigate it every single time he casts it. And he has a lot more health than this as well, so. But yeah, we burnt him down pretty fast. And even though we have Bran set the heals, I think overall we're still able to kill stuff pretty quickly. My Bran is like level 42 now. I believe that Bran scales with his own level. I believe he scales with your eye level to some degree. And then obviously with these new upgraded curios, which we've been able to get as of the last patch, Bran is super strong, even as heals. So just use your discretion on whether or not you want to have him set as DPS or heals. And all right, thanks for watching the video. I'll be back soon with another T11 Delve guide. Later.